Hey, hello everyone. Welcome back to the discussion lab. And today we are going to talk about why you need to be selfish. Yes, I am talking about you. Sometimes you need to be selfish, and selfishness is not always bad. Let me explain. I'm going to give you two reasons why it is sometimes critical that you have to be selfish. Now, imagine this. You're on a plane and then the plane starts to drastically drop down. Have you ever seen that incident where the airbags drop down and everyone has to put that on their mouth? Have you noticed that they always say that fix your own first, your own, I don't know how it's called, airbag or oxygen first before you try to help someone, even your own child or partner that you love so much. It's the same thing what I've heard that happens on the ships, right? If a ship is sinking, you have to put the life jacket on you first. Put your life jacket on you first, and then you can help someone else. And so that's that mindset that I'm trying to share with you, that sometimes you have to be selfish. It's not always bad. You need to save yourself first, then you can save others. One of the advantages that I want to talk about, why you should be selfish sometimes, it increases your own capacity. Now, let me break it down. Sometimes there are many people who really love doing good. They love going out and helping people. They really want to give everything they have out. But think about it. How much do you have now? How many people can you help at this point? Sometimes it's quite important to help as much as you can and take a break. Go back to replenish your energy, get your energy back up. Then you can go out and help. So when I'm talking about increased capacity, I'm talking about taking time away from the world, away from the society, so that you can probably develop yourself further, strengthen yourself further in any aspect or way, whether knowledge, physical, spiritual, for the people who need you and the people that you want to help. Sometimes it could even mean increasing your knowledge. Then the second point would be sustainable contribution. And I think that I even touched on this a bit, right? The second reason why you should be selfish is that if you are not careful, you are going to burn out. So you have to go out, help people in any way, shape, or form, your society, your family, even your own kids. But sometimes you need to take a step back, take a breather, increase your capacity, and then you come back again. This way you can sustain the helping and the contribution that you want to give people. But if you don't do that, if you are not able to take some time for yourself, it becomes very dangerous. And I would give you one of the reasons. One of the biggest reasons is burnout and exhaustion. If you go out helping out, just like a car, no matter the car you drive, whether it's a hybrid, whether electric, whether it uses hydrogen or gas, petrol, whatever car you drive, there comes a point you have to stop the car and refuel. Even cars need to be refueled. How about you, the person, right? I'm not just talking about physical refueling, which is just the food and the energy, but I'm talking about whatever you are doing. If you're always teaching people, you need to take a step back sometimes and go and update them for your information. Go and upgrade a bit, learn more, just go and refresh the knowledge that you are sharing. If you are always there physically training people, you need to be physically strong sometimes. So you need to step back a bit sometime and train yourself so that you can better train people, right? Learn new techniques, learn new ways of training, then you can pass it on. And the same goes for everything. If you are not able to take a step back, you are going to burn out. You are going to be exhausted. And I think that is one key reason why you should take a breather, so that at least you would not be burnt out. The second disadvantage of neglecting to be selfish is that you would have a limited impact, right? And it ties back to the first point I made of increased capacity. The opposite of that in this case would be limited impact. If you don't take time to really fill your gas, fill your energy level, you can only go so much. So example, someone needs to travel from point A to point B. And at the moment, your capabilities can take the person halfway, right? So if you use everything you have halfway, you get stranded. But how about you go a bit, Then you take a break, go and refuel your energy, and then continue a bit until you get to the final destination. And this refueling I'm talking about, again, can be anything, whether you are gaining new knowledge, new skills, whatever it may be. Let me probably give you some examples for you to understand. Do you realize that almost all the religious leaders that we know and cherish across the world, all of them at certain times took time away from people? At a point, they had to be selfish with their time. They could not help people back to back every day, almost everyone. And I have a few listed that I want to go through. So first one will be Buddha, right? If you, from my limited studying on him, there were times that he would sit alone and he would meditate. So Buddha spent a lot of time meditating, being alone, trying to understand the nature of suffering, and also to the path of liberation. And so at those moments, he was not going out helping people, but he was alone and meditating. Again, we could speak about the Prophet Muhammad, right? It was said that, according to my studies, that he would spend time in reflection and solitude. And it was in moments like this, in the cave of Hira, I hope I have the right, Hira, that he had his calling. And you have to bear in mind, he was alone, reflecting, alone. And it was in the cave of Hira, alone. See, and we see the key word I'm stressing, that he spends time. The same thing for Moses. When Moses was had to flee from Egypt, he spent years on the wilderness alone, going around tendering sheep and stuff, until it was in the process of tendering sheep that he saw a burning bush alone. Wasn't with many people. It was at a point of encounter, he was alone. And then after that, he came to help people. And also Jesus Christ, right? We know that he spent 40 days, 40 nights alone from his own. Even though he had 12 disciples, he spent that 40 days, 40 nights alone from them. The point I'm trying to say is, even the famous religious leaders that we know, they really wanted to help people. But there were moments that they had to be selfish for themselves, possibly to increase their capabilities and to make sure that they could sustain what they were trying to do. Now, we're talking about the religious leaders. We could speak about also the scholars that have passed. One of the biggest one is Isaac Newton, right? It was said that it was during the bubonic plague time. He visited one of his parents' home, and it was in times alone outside when he was sitting down that he observed an apple fall. Then he really started grappling about the theory of gravity. He was alone on a field, and some say that he saw the apple fall. Others say that the apple fell on his head. But whichever way, he was alone, and then he had this idea when this happened to really start thinking about the theory of gravity. It was reported also about Albert Einstein. He spent most of the time alone and trying to think of theories and stuff. For Charles Darwin also, for his theory of evolution, he spent a lot of time alone, traveling from island to island to island. And it was these trips in isolation when he got on these islands that he observed that it's the same animals, or almost the same animal was on most of the places he would visit, but there were certain variations in the animals, right? The animals had adapted to the environment that they were in, and that was what birthed the story of evolution. Point I'm trying to say is that sometimes there's an idea in you waiting to be birthed, but until you spend time alone, until you really step away from the world, it could be leaving social media, leaving your family, your friends and loved ones, sometimes leaving work for a couple of times, right? Until you are alone in your thoughts, it might be difficult to really reach your full capability. You have to know that without rest, it is difficult to refill your tank. Whether you're a vehicle or a boat, without rest, it becomes very difficult for you to refill your tank. And so it is key to be selfish. Perhaps after this podcast, you have to be selfish. But hey, what do I know? I know nothing. I'm just a naive observer. Peace.